What if Joseph had slept with Potiphar's wife? What if a single choice completely changed Joseph's destiny? Imagine for a moment the young dreamer, faithful to God, standing before one of the greatest temptations of his life. Now, consider what might have happened if, instead of resisting, he had given in to Potiphar's wife's proposition. Would Joseph still have reached a place of honor beside Pharaoh? And Egypt, how would it have survived the years of famine without the vision God gave Joseph? Today, we'll dive into a what-if scenario so profound it might change how you view your own decisions. This alternate story goes beyond a simple narrative. It challenges us to reflect on the impact of our choices and how one decision can alter not only our future, but also the destiny of many around us. So hold on tight, because what's coming next will stir your mind, touch your heart, and perhaps lead you to rethink some of the toughest choices in your life. Shall we? Joseph's life seemed like a movie filled with twists and turns. Even as a slave, he had found a place of prominence in Potiphar's house. Everything he did prospered, and Potiphar trusted him so much that he entrusted Joseph with the management of all his possessions. It was a surprising rise for someone sold by his own brothers. But then came a major obstacle: Potiphar's wife. She was beautiful, powerful, and determined. Since Joseph arrived at the house, she had been watching him closely, and over time, her advances became more direct. Day after day, she tried to seduce him. Joseph stood firm, saying, "How could I do such a wrong thing against my master and against God?" For him, it wasn't just a matter of earthly loyalty, but divine faithfulness. But one day, things spiraled out of control. Potiphar's wife seized an opportunity when Joseph was alone and made her final move. She grabbed his cloak and tried to force him. In the story we know, Joseph fled, leaving his cloak behind, but he paid a heavy price. He was falsely accused and thrown into prison. But what if this time he hadn't resisted? Imagine Joseph for a moment, hesitating, perhaps tired of constant refusals, perhaps thinking one time wouldn't hurt. He gives in to the pressure, and what seemed like a moment of immediate relief becomes the beginning of a disaster. Potiphar finds out what happened, but instead of believing his wife, as in the original story, this time he finds evidence incriminating Joseph. Joseph doesn't go to prison. Instead, he loses everything he had achieved: his position, his reputation, and his hope for a better future. Joseph is sold as a slave again, but this time there's no room for quick redemption. He is forgotten. This turning point isn't just a deviation in Joseph's story, but a complete break in God's plan. The choice that seemed small at the time reverberates tragically. Joseph, who played a crucial role in God's plan to save Egypt and his family, now becomes just another nameless slave. And this is just the beginning of the consequences. What seemed like a wrong choice, made only once, became the start of an avalanche of problems for Joseph. After giving in to Potiphar's wife's persistence, everything fell apart. Potiphar discovered the affair, and with his wife's power and influence, it didn't take long for Joseph to be exposed as a traitor. But unlike the story we know, this time there wasn't even a prison sentence. Joseph was thrown back into the slave market, now as a man without honor. Without Potiphar's support, and without the favor of God that Joseph had always enjoyed, his life took a dark turn. He was bought by an unknown merchant and sent to work in the mines. There, no one cared about his dreams or skills. He was no longer the talented administrator or the young visionary. Now, he was just another number, surviving day by day. Meanwhile, the famine that was to come in Egypt crept closer. Without Joseph in the palace, there was no one to interpret Pharaoh's troubling dreams. The 7 years of abundance came, but no one knew how to store grain or prepare for the 7 years of famine that followed. When scarcity began, chaos ensued. People stormed warehouses and revolted against the government. Pharaoh, with no one to trust, watched his empire crumble. And what about Joseph's family? Without the reunion in Egypt, his brothers continued their lives in anonymity, never resolving the guilt of what they had done. Judah, who in the original story becomes a figure of redemption, never had the chance to take on the role of leader or protect his family. The lineage that would lead to the birth of Jesus was completely disrupted. But the tragedy didn't stop there. God's promise to Abraham that his descendants would be as numerous as the stars in the sky seemed increasingly distant. The divine plan, which relied on Joseph to unite his family and preserve the nation of Israel, was compromised by a single decision. And Joseph? He spent the rest of his life as an unknown slave, looking back and wondering how everything could have been different. Perhaps he thought about how an apparently small choice, a moment of weakness, destroyed not only his future, but also that of so many around him. This alternate story isn't just a detour. It's a reminder of how wrong choices can bring eternal consequences. Joseph's alternative story may seem like fiction, but is it that far from reality? How many times do we make decisions that seem small at the moment but end up bringing consequences beyond our control? Joseph was an example of obedience and faithfulness to God, but in this what-if scenario, he exchanged God's plan for a moment of pleasure, and that makes us reflect. How many times do our wrong choices lead us away from the purposes God has for our lives? Like Joseph, we might think one decision won't make a difference, but the truth is, our choices shape not only our future, but also that of others. If Joseph had given in, Egypt would have faced famine unprepared. His family would never have reconciled. God's promise to Abraham would have been interrupted. This scenario reminds us that our choices, no matter how small they may seem, carry far greater weight than we imagine. But there's something even more important. Even when we make mistakes, God continues to offer us a chance for redemption. He is a God of new opportunities and restored paths. The big question is, are we listening to His voice and choosing the right path? Or are we just thinking about momentary desires? And you? What choices have you been making lately? Are they aligned with God's plans for your life? Remember, every decision matters. Let us learn from Joseph's faithfulness in the original story, but also reflect on the devastating impact of a different choice, as seen in this what-if version. Because in the end, it's always about trusting God's perfect plan and striving to do what's right, even when it's hard. What if you had the power to change the course of a story? We've just explored how a single choice can transform not only the destiny of one person, but also impact an entire generation. This alternate version of Joseph's life serves as a powerful reminder of how seemingly small decisions can carry enormous consequences. Now, let's turn the focus to your life. What choices are you making today that could shape your future and the lives of those around you? Just as in Joseph's story, our actions have the potential to build or destroy something greater. But take heart, because God gives us an incredible gift, the chance to reflect, to change, and to align our steps with His plan. And speaking of choices, we want to hear yours. What part of this story impacted you the most? Was it when Joseph gave in and everything began to fall apart? Or was it the famine in Egypt, highlighting how the absence of one prepared individual can change the fate of a nation? What other Bible stories would you like to see reimagined? Let us know in the comments. We read everything and may turn your idea into the next episode. Don't forget to strengthen this community. Like the video, share it with someone who needs to hear this message, and, of course, subscribe to the channel. That way, you won't miss any new content, and you can help others reflect on the choices they are making in life. Hit the notification bell too, because in the coming weeks, we will explore even more intriguing scenarios. Who knows, the next one could be, what if the rich young man had been Jesus' disciple? Or what if Judas had not betrayed Jesus? Above all, remember that the stories in the Bible are not just tales of the past. They teach us about the present and help us prepare for the future. So stay tuned and join the conversation. We'll see you in the next episode, and until then, may your choices always lead to good for you and everyone around you.